Hello, everybody. It's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Vitality once again. I have another interview as per the usual. I've been on a pretty good streak of getting these things out, so we're going to go ahead and get another one out. All right, bye. All right, so I'm on the phone with Josh Ruppert. He's one of the people that reached out to me about the current interview project, and so I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Hey, everyone. My name is Josh Ruppert. I'm an artist in Frederick, Maryland. I play guitar and bass and drums and pretty much any rock instrument, and I create my own music. I record, produce, mix, and master my own stuff just in my bedroom in my spare time, and have a great time with it.
Awesome. So define some of like the pivotal moments growing up that you kind of really identified with music and what really made you realize that you needed that in your life.
The first time I remember realizing that I wanted to play music for a living, I was 10 years old. I was on the way home from watching a high school basketball game with my sister, and she had on our local radio station the song "Welcome to the Black Parade" came on by My Chemical Romance, and it just captivated me. I think there's that type of song happens for a lot of people, and you just realize you want to create kind of what you're listening to in a way. And so
sure.
I went home that night and I talked to my parents. I said, I want to, get involved in music. I want a guitar or a bass or something. Eventually they bought me a bass, thankfully, a bass guitar. And they got me lessons and they got me involved, plugged into music. But it was that moment, just hearing that and something about, I guess how unique it was, or I don't know, something spoke to me.
Did they kind of panic a little when you told them it was My Chemical Romance that inspired this fire in you?
Oh, no, not so much. I think that was a big issue at the time. I remember that being like reading about it later, and like people were kind of scared about the emo punk
right
thing that was going on. They didn't really know that there's a lot of news headlines kind of around it. But my parents were supportive of it for sure, which was extremely helpful to me.
So how did you start learning instrumentation then? Like at that point your parents just kind of got you some instruments and you kind of started just plucking around with them? Did you start taking lessons, or kind of explain that process?
Yeah, I did they signed me up for lessons at my local music shop, and thankfully one of the guys there, I remember in part of his advertisement was he had done lessons for the guy who was in Lincoln Park, the bassist in Lincoln Park. Okay. That was part of his advertisement. I never really followed up with that, and it didn't matter too much, obviously, then when I was taking lessons. But it was kind of a cool, like, I don't know, ad thing. Like, oh, well, I can take lessons from a guy who taught the bassist from Lincoln Park, and it was a big deal. So I did that, and I only got through like a month worth of lesson, and I had a pretty good understanding of what I wanted to do. And then my parents, I don't really know what happened there. But we stopped going to the lessons, but I never stopped my passion for music, and so I didn't take any formal lessons, but I definitely would pick up my bass and listen along. I remember hearing Sam's Town by The Killers for the first time. I put that on my stereo, and I would just pluck along on my bass as best as I could. I had enough understanding from the few lessons that I did to kind of pluck along with whatever he was doing, at least the root notes, for sure.
Sure. So once you did kind of get to a point where you felt comfortable with the instruments to actually start writing music, how did you kind of identify like the avenue and content that you wanted to write about?
I had great friends in the music industry already who wanted to get involved in writing, and they had songs pretty much like being close to being finished, and they just needed a bass line, which for me was pretty easy. You need to kind of like follow along with the root notes, and then you can do some flavorful stuff in between like some of the drum fills and stuff like that. And
Sure.
so it kind of came pretty naturally. My friends would come to me with songs that were pretty much written, and I could just add what they needed, and then just a little bit of my own flavor, which I didn't really know was my own thing at the time, but it kind of developed into how I play now. Just trying to help my friends out, really, is how it started getting to writing music. And then from there, I realized that I didn't have a voice so much in how the music was coming out. I wanted to, there's some stuff that I wanted to say as an artist that I didn't get the chance to say as just a bass player.
Sure.
And so I learned how to play the guitar after that. And I took some music, like lyrical writing classes and stuff like that to kind of figure out how I wanted to make my own music and how I wanted to say my own thing, as opposed to just helping other people finish what they were trying to say. Anyway.
Sure. So as you kind of picked up on that, you put those elements together. Did you kind of decide that you wanted to be more of like a solo singer, songwriter, producer, or did you start looking for band members?
Yeah, that happened pretty organically, like doing my own thing. It just kind of, as I got involved in more and more projects and bands and helping other people finish what they wanted to do and their music, I realized that I really wasn't getting a say in my artistic expression. I was helping other people get really good products, and I was like, man, I really want to do my own thing and say my own thing. And so I started looking into how to do that.
So just to explore that concept for a moment, what did you feel about the projects that you were contributing to wasn't allowing you to express, like whether it be a specific message or kind of a concept?
Definitely the lyrical process, because when you're involved in writing, my primary instrument with helping other people getting really great products was the bass guitar, and I guess the electric guitar, but really that was just a rhythm position. And when you don't have a melodic or lyrical influence in the product, I feel like it's just hard to, I should say, in my position, it was hard to really glue with that product because it wasn't my words. I was involved in a contemporary Christian band, and we did really well. We toured up and down the East Coast for a little while, and I was involved in a progressive metal band, who also did well in the early 2010s.
Okay.
But all of the lyrical content was just not stuff that I super related to, and so that to me, that the lyrical and the melodic process was what I was really missing out on. Like I felt like I didn't have a say in how that came about, and I wanted, I really wanted a voice in that, and so my, instead of digging too deep and trying to get involved, to me, and I know this isn't for everyone, but to me, I feel like that's where the heart of the song is. And because I didn't have much of an influence in the melodic and lyrical process in those other bands, I wanted to start my own project where I was the person in charge of those things, so I could have my say in that type of, in that aspect.
Sure. So with your solo project, do you audition band members, or do you even have them attempt to get out there and perform your solo stuff live?
Live, it's been difficult, especially with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Popping around. It's shut down a lot of gigging. But it has opened up the avenue of technological collaborations. I have a friend who lives in Nashville who I'm very close with, and we write a good bit just on FaceTime, talking to each other. I'll send him a track, he'll listen to it, and then we'll FaceTime together, and he'll say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. He'll play me, a little guitar lick or something, and I can kind of audition it that way. But as far as getting other people involved consistently, it definitely has been, this time specifically has made it difficult to do that.
Sure. And since you mentioned like the technology aspect of it, one of the things that I kind of promote a lot on these interviews in my channel is one of the subreddits called Bedroom Bands. And you reminded me of it earlier because you mentioned like, you know, you're just writing in your bedroom essentially. But what Bedroom Bands, that community...
That's all I do.
Yeah. So the Bedroom Bands community is a bunch of people that just have, you know, basic recording equipment set up, and they do independent internet collaboration via Reddit. And there's like 38,000 people that are contributing to it. So that's one of the like concepts that helped me kind of develop the concept for how I wanted to do these interviews was massive internet collaboration. And as you mentioned, the virus shut everything down. So I had to kind of resort to doing these interviews via, you know, however I could. Mainly it's been Facebook.
Yeah.
But yeah. So moving on from there, once you kind of established what you wanted to do, you kind of had your intent together. How do you kind of see yourself once we can get back to some sort of normalcy, picking the type of people that you actually want to perform your solo music, since that's something that you feel hasn't been that you've been able to get the right expression out of? Are you concerned about people sharing that vision?
You know, to be honest, I hadn't thought about that much. All of my friends that I can think of off the top of my head that I would ask, like if I had a show, you know, if I was opening for someone at the 9:30 Club because they just opened back up in my area, or they're likely going to open back up in my area, and I had to ask people to play with me some of the stuff that I had written. You know, to be honest, I hadn't thought about it, but I have enough friends in the area who could play and play tastefully. So I guess to answer your question, the people that I would look for are just people who I trust and are my friends, and I know can play the parts that I'm looking for them to play and not go, I guess, over the top. Sure. You know, at the top of my mind, there's two drummers that I'm thinking of in my area that I'm really good friends with. And I think, well, you know, if I can only offer them, I can only offer one of those positions, who would I go with? Mm-hmm. And I think I would go with the person that I have played with longer and I connect with more on a friendship level than, because I know both of them can play the music easily. You know, like that's just the kind of music that it is. Mm-hmm. And so, like, which of my friends do I want to kind of bring along and have that experience with? That's kind of more what I would be
definitely
looking for.
Do you have any sort of like particular fond memories or anything that kind of sticks out in your time of playing music that you kind of think really defines how you approach music in general?
Definitely my time in the Christian contemporary music world defines my live playing more than anything, to be honest, because we were able to play so much. There's honestly so much demand. If you don't know, the Christian contemporary music world is pretty big. There's songs that are played nationwide throughout the church, mm-hmm. On the daily, or on the weekly, I should say, just because churches need songs to play. Sure. And so there's this huge market. And then we specifically would do these summer camps, and they would have camps of youth between, I guess, 14 and 18, like high school type students. And we would play songs specifically for them, like worship, contemporary Christian worship music, specifically for them. And we do these week-long camps. And so those are some of the better memories that I have playing with guys. You know, like we would go travel and we, you know, go to up and down the East Coast, like Pennsylvania. We would go and play for a week at this college campus, and then we would go down to Richmond, Virginia.
Are there any particular stories that kind of stand out?
Just some of stuff that stands out is some of the funnier moments where stuff didn't really go according to plan, I guess.
Okay.
Where the one that sticks out is I have one friend, his name is Keith, and he played keyboards, and he wasn't a keyboard player, to be honest. He just kind of was there. He was one of those guys who we just really liked being around, and he knew enough to play all the songs we were going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so we invited him along with us, and he came, and he was there on stage with us, and we were playing this song, and he was on the wrong preset.
Oh,
and
no.
so he had this keyboard sound that honestly, it just sounded like buzzing bees. Like, it was awful, terrible. And he couldn't hear himself at all. So he was just playing along, and everyone else could hear him. The PA, he was coming out of the PA like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he had no idea. And so everyone on stage was laughing, and we were looking at each other like, this is like, what do we do? This is crazy. How do we fix this? And he just has no idea. We're just looking at him. And so that's the first thing that pops out is moments like that where like kind of stuff doesn't really go according to plan.
Sure.
And in the end, it's obviously okay. Like, we didn't lose the gig or anything like that, but it's just some funny moments with some friends.
Awesome. Well, I want to go ahead and give you the chance to kind of put out your plugs and promote yourself. Any link or website or anything that you think people would like to click on to check on you.
Oh, totally. The biggest thing I'm promoting right now is my own personal artist page, which is the band Hello Audrey. It's a solo project by myself, and I have other friends involved who come and record with me. But for the most part, it's just me writing the music and then getting other people involved. Mm-hmm. You can check that out. We have one single out on Spotify called Bright Green Eyes. I'd say that's what I'd like people to click on and listen to. And we have more music coming out in October. I think mid-October. We're releasing an EP.
Awesome.
That's the big thing. And I have a website. I make and sell Helix presets if anyone's interested to get your guitar sounding good. If there's any gearheads out there who want to sound like me, that's where you go to get that.
HelixPresets.com, or I don't think you said the website.
The outside the box worship.com. That's the website that I own.
All right. Well, so what I like to do is I like to give the person that I'm interviewing the last word. So just a message that you want to put out to the universe.
A message to put out to the universe. I would say the people that would probably listen to this are music fans. And I'll say if you're a music fan, you want to get involved in music, or you want to get into the music industry, don't stop. Keep pushing, keep making music. Meet people and be nice.